to the WrestleHavoc Podcast on YouTube, where we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. We talk all that goes on in the realm of WWE and AEW every week. And now, here's your host, the one that will give you a reality check on pro wrestling, Flamin' Ricky DeReyes. This is the WrestleHavoc Podcast.
Years of Monday Night Raw. 30 years. Raw has been around since January of 1993. Raw has had its ups, and it definitely had a lot of lows. But if there's one thing that we can say about Monday Night Raw as a whole, is that we've been watching this show every single Monday night for however long we've been a wrestling fan. And it's safe to say that, Raw has been a part of all of our lives throughout all the years we've been watching professional wrestling. This is the WrestleHavoc Podcast, of course, this being Flamin' Ricky DeReyes, here to review Raw Is 30, the 30th anniversary of Monday Night Raw, or, as it would like to be dubbed, Raw Is XXX. The logo and the graphics are absolutely hilarious, and the jokes that are made on Twitter have been absolutely funny. But what are my thoughts on this show? It's no secret that I have been very critical of Monday Night Raw, especially these past 2 years, the last 2 years when Vince McMahon was in charge. Raw, I've even dubbed Raw as probably, back in 2021, as the worst show not only in wrestling, but the worst show on television, because it got that bad back in 2021. We had Shayna Baszler running away from dolls, Alexa Bliss doing this crazy supernatural type shit, and constant rematches that nobody asked for. But ever since Triple H took over, has he made Raw better? Well, it's a very interesting question, to say the least. I definitely think he's made Raw a better show. Now, is it a better show that, to digest? Maybe. Now, it's safe to say for the past couple of months, Raw has been kind of a drag to watch, and I've stated that last week. Raw has been a drag to watch, and it's definitely it has to do with those 3 hours of the show. But I will say that what happened this past Monday was probably the best Raw in a while, and I mean that wholeheartedly. The first hour of this show was damn near perfect. Raw 30 will be looked at as probably one of the best, if not the best Raw of the year, possibly. And this is a reunion show. This is an anniversary type show. Usually when we get these types of shows, a lot of people are very critical of them because keep in mind, we had shows like Raw 1000. We had Raw 25. Raw 1000 was actually pretty good. Raw 25 was a pretty disappointing show, to say the least. And especially for the people that paid money to go to the show at the Manhattan Center, they definitely got ripped off of that. But we had other shows like the Raw Reunion, if you guys do not remember, back in the summer of 2019, when Raw hit its low, ratings low in a while, and all of a sudden, like a day later, they announced, we got the Raw Reunion, we're going to bring back all these legends, so we're going to get a big ratings jump for only 1 week, and then we're going to go right back down to where we were the previous week on the next week. We also had shows like Raw Legends Night, which I did not like whatsoever. It was probably a cringe-worthy show. That was during the Thunderdome era, and that was for the same reasons. They announced that show right after Raw hit a really, really low rating, and what did they do? They just brought back all the legends for a one-time thing, and for a one-time ratings pop for 1 week. This was not one of those shows. Number one is because of the fact that it's Triple H. But number two, even though this was a go-home show before the Royal Rumble, I felt like they utilized the time that they had well to build up for the Royal Rumble, especially when it comes to the Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns stuff. Of course, Kevin Owens interrupted The Miz later on. I'll get to that later on. But overall, I really, really, really enjoyed this show. The segments that we got on this show were fantastic. DX was amazing, even though we realistically did not need to see DX, considering they had a anniversary segment a couple of months prior. But overall, this show was really good for what it was. That first hour was probably one of the best first hours I have ever seen. And if you think about it, the entire first hour was dedicated to the Bloodline. It was a way to, of course, build up the main story that is going on in WWE with SAMI ZAYN, Kevin Owens, and Roman Reigns. And SAMI ZAYN looks like, even though he's not guilty, he is still in the doghouse. But overall, this show was absolutely amazing for what it was. I enjoyed almost every second of it. I definitely was on the edge of my seat for that first hour. The second hour was a little, I don't want to say a little better because nothing can really top the first hour. The third hour started to go a little downhill, to be quite honest with you. But overall, the show was amazing. I really enjoyed this show. And this was probably the best Raw in the past couple of months. And do I think this will be the best Raw of the year? Honestly, I do not know. But, we'll have to wait and see. This is definitely a show that we will all remember of. Especially, again, that first hour and that amazing segment, which, of course, being the Tribal Court of SAMI ZAYN. This is, of course, the WrestleHavoc Podcast with your Raw Is XXX review from January 23rd, 2023. Before we get on with all of this craziness right here on the podcast, make sure to like and subscribe to this podcast where we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content. And as the frickin' referee would say, ring, ring, ring that damn bell for more notifications. Also, the WrestleHavoc Podcast is also available on audio platforms. It is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, and Google Podcasts. So if you guys want to listen to the WrestleHavoc Podcast in audio format, it is available on all of those platforms. Two quick notes. Number one, I haven't uploaded the past 3 uploads in audio format, so hopefully I can get those up on time. That is something that I'm constantly working on. But also, of course, a quick reminder that episode 5 of the WrestleHavoc Podcast will be uploaded this Friday. Usually I upload the main show on a Sunday, but this week we're going to be doing it on a Friday, considering the fact that, number one, we got the SmackDown review on Saturday, plus we got the Royal Rumble pay-per-view, in which I will be giving you guys my full Royal Rumble review on Sunday. So episode 5 of the WrestleHavoc Podcast will be uploaded on Friday. We will talk, of course, all the news and rumors that is going on in the realm of professional wrestling. Plus, I will be giving you guys my Royal Rumble 2023 predictions. Also, check out my YouTube shorts as well. My YouTube shorts are actually doing really well. The last one that I uploaded was talking about Cody Rhodes needing to win the Royal Rumble, and that got over 1,000 views. So I'm going to be continuing uploading shorts on YouTube, on this YouTube channel. So be on the lookout for that as well. But yeah, we got Raw Is 30, a show that a lot of people were looking forward to. I was actually definitely looking forward to. Usually I'm not really that excited for these types of shows. And they get criticized a lot for not, especially, these types of shows in which it's the go-home show before the Royal Rumble. They get criticized a lot for not having a lot of build or more anticipation for the Royal Rumble. That was definitely Raw 25. Raw 25 was that. Was this show that? No, it wasn't. It definitely had some build towards the Royal Rumble. And, of course, we also got SmackDown at the end of the day. So, realistically, I don't even want to say this would be a go-home show, but it is what it is. It was a good show, nonetheless. It was actually an amazing show, nonetheless. But let's go on with the Raw Is 30 review. Hulk Hogan, yes, the Immortal Hulk Hogan, kicks off the show with Jimmy Hart, surprisingly. He actually came out with Jimmy Hart. A long time ago, so Hulk Hogan gets a microphone. He says, a long time ago, when Hulkamania was running wild, a little show started called Monday Night Raw. And at the same time, Hulk Hogan's mic keeps getting cut off, which was absolutely hilarious. And says that tonight we are celebrating 30 years of Monday Night Raw. Is this segment going to be remembered? No. I remember I was at WrestleMania 37, which was the first show that WWE did coming back from the pandemic. Of course, they went back to the Thunderdome right after, but Hulk Hogan came out. I only attended night 1, and Hulk Hogan got booed out of the building. by the entire people by everybody at Raymond James Stadium. Did I think he was going to get booed on this show? No, maybe there was probably some boos, but I honestly did not care. I mean, Hulk Hogan was there. Who cares? Blah, blah, blah. It's Hulk Hogan. So we're here celebrating 30 years of Monday Night Raw, and they show a video package highlighting the best moments of the 30 years of the show. Great video package, by the way. If there's anything that you can say great about WWE, even under Vince McMahon, is their production is top-notch. Nobody, and I mean nobody, will top WWE's production. It's just impossible. These people are masters of production, and their video packages are very well produced. Even if it's for shit that you do not care about and you think it's terrible, they will still put their best effort and like give you guys, great video packages. All right, we are going straight to the point about this show. The first legit segment on this show was the tribal court of Sami Zayn. Now, when this segment was announced, originally, the segment was supposed to be an acknowledgement ceremony of Roman Reigns. So they were basically going to bring the majority of the NY family. They were going to bring the Wild Samoans, Alpha and SIkoa, all those guys, Rikishi, all those guys. And a lot of people were speculating that The Rock was possibly going to be showing up as well. Then all of a sudden, a couple of days after that segment was announced, I believe that segment was announced last Monday on Raw. That segment then got scrapped. And there was a lot of speculation whether The Rock will actually wrestle at WrestleMania or not. I still think he will. Now, could there be a chance that he's not going to wrestle? I do not know, but my best bet is I think he is still going to show up and wrestle Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. That's what I see happening, but I might as well be wrong. So then it was announced, I believe it was PW Insider that broke the news, that we were going to be getting instead the tribal court, the trial of Sami Zayn. And a lot of people, the memes on social media, man, the reaction was absolutely hilarious. They were like, oh shit, Sami Zayn is going to get whacked. Yeah, Sami Zayn is going to get whacked, just like in The Sopranos. But yeah, man, I was definitely excited when they announced this because, of course, Sami Zayn went back to the good graces of Roman Reigns. But what happened in the contract signing was Kevin Owens immediately attacked the whole bloodline. SIkoa, Roman Reigns, the Usos came out, and then Sami Zayn came in late, and you had Kevin Owens throw the contract to Sami Zayn. And the funny thing to note is the fact that Sami Zayn, or I should say Roman Reigns, did not sign his portion of the contract. The only person that signed the contract was Kevin Owens. Now, I heard a lot of speculation throughout a lot of different podcasts. A lot of people say, oh, what if Sami Zayn's name was signed on the contract? I do not think that's the case at all. I think they're still going forward with Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. I think they're saving the Roman versus Sami match at the Elimination Chamber because it makes total sense. Elimination Chamber next month is going to be taking place in Montreal. So it makes total sense that Sami Zayn would wrestle Roman Reigns for the world title in his hometown. Is he going to win? Of course not. But again, it's going to be a great match when it happens. I'm not going to say if it happens because we all know it's going to fucking happen. But yeah, man, we have the tribal court of Sami Zayn. Now let's get on with the segment. Roman gets the microphone. And, of course, he does his typical acknowledge me shtick. And he says, Philadelphia, acknowledge me. And Roman says they're going to get right down to business. Then the whole bloodline sits down. And so when the whole bloodline sits down, this is the funniest thing I've seen, man. Well, I wouldn't necessarily say the funniest thing. But if you think about it, this is Philadelphia. And what company was born in Philadelphia? ECW. And, of course, the former owner of ECW, Paul Heyman, of course, was in the ring. He is, of course, the special counsel. We got a bunch of ECW chants by the crowd. Great to see, especially in Philadelphia. I love that. Paul Heyman gets the microphone, and he says, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, his name is Paul Heyman. He noticed a moment ago that they all had a chant of 3 letters that were very near and dear to him. And he pulls the ultimate heel move and said that ECW is dead, says Paul Heyman to Roman Reigns. And he wishes the same for Sami Zayn. That is an Ibula para, as Paul Heyman stated. I have no idea what that meant. But he explained it to all of us. He called Sami Zayn a Judas. And he is a betrayer of the island of relevancy. He's been a conspiracy for with Kevin Owens since day number 1. So we're going back to this whole conspiracy theory shit. Then, of course, he says that he has been leading us on to feel good about themselves and how he should be in the bloodline. He's making them feel like the Philadelphia Eagles. They're going to feel like fans of the Eagles after they get crushed by Brock Purdy of the 49ers, which is funny as fuck. Heyman says that this is the open and shut case, and he can stop with he has 4 pieces of footage that he can demonstrate that Sami Zayn is guilty as charged, which is actually, I like how he added guilty as charged. If you guys do not know, Guilty as Charged was the name of a former ECW pay-per-view, and I believe that was the final ECW pay-per-view back in, I think it was January of 2001. So I love the little nods to ECW that Paul Heyman brings there. So Paul Heyman shows basically 4 different exhibitions. Exhibit A from August 22nd, 2022 shows Drew attacking the Usos, and Sami Zayn is not there. August 29th, Sami grabs a chair during the match, but instead he gave it. He doesn't basically hit Kevin Owens, which causes a match with which basically causes one of the Usos matches with Kevin Owens. And of course, at War Games, Sami Zayn is on top of the cage and he says "for life," which is the worst piece of evidence I have ever seen. So I love how they are basically what they're doing is this is long-term storytelling. This is what they're doing here, which I absolutely love. But it's the worst. It's the worst type of evidence that I have ever seen. Exhibit D, of course, shows Sami Zayn shoulder blocking Roman Reigns. Of course, he did that, I don't want to necessarily say on purpose or by accident, because Sami Zayn was just really passionate in the promo that he was cutting towards Kevin Owens a couple of weeks ago on SmackDown. So that was Exhibit D. And Paul Heyman then says, Sami Zayn is guilty of assault of the tribal chief. He begs of them. And he isn't a begging man to find this rat bastard guilty as charged. Shout out to Nasty Leroy. The prosecution rests in case. Heyman concludes. Sami Zayn then has the microphone, and he says something very interesting. He had a whole defense all lined up in his head, but the one thing he didn't count on was how he would feel. And he's been listening to Paul, speak of Sami Zayn like that, and he says that it hurts so much watching him play that video. He thinks he's trying to take out the tribal chief. The fact that he would think of that hurts. Cause of, after that, after everything that has gone on, these people, that being everybody in the arena, see it. They've seen it all over these past 9 months, literally putting himself on trial. That hurts. So his defense is that he has no defense. Yes, Sami Zayn has no defense, and Sami sits down. Roman gets the microphone. Now, this is where the shit gets really interesting. So Sami gets the microphone. Or not Sami, Roman. Roman is starting to judge and starting to get pissed off at Sami Zayn, and we all know how Roman Reigns gets. Says that he doesn't have a defense. He won't even fight for this. He has so much ego. Look who's talking. He gives him opportunity after opportunity. Roman yells. He talks about how he let him in his family, and he screams enough. And right after he screams enough, he calls out Solo's name. So whenever somebody calls out Solo's name, you know what the fuck is happening. Solo SIkoa comes towards Sami Zayn. He comes towards Sami Zayn, and what happens after that is he grabs Sami Zayn, I believe it was by the shoulder, and it looks like he's about to hit the Samoan Spike on Sami Zayn. But what happens right before he's about to hit him with the Samoan Spike, Jey Uso, of all people, come in and block Solo SIkoa from hitting the move. So what happens is Jey Uso has his own proof. Now, we all know the whole story, of course, when Sami Zayn started to do his interactions with the Bloodline. Jey Uso absolutely fucking hated this man up until War Games when Sami Zayn showed his allegiance toward the Bloodline, which was probably one of the best things I have ever seen. So the evidence that Jey Uso shows is, I completely forgot the dates that I put because I was so invested in the freaking segment that I'm like, you know what, I'm not even gonna write down the dates. I'm watching this shit. All the evidence that Jey Uso showed was completely 10 times, 1,000, 1 million times better than the evidence that Paul Heyman showed. And all the evidence that Jey Uso showed to the entirety of the Bloodline, Sami Zayn helped out the Bloodline in many different situations. So Sami basically helped them the whole time. Jey says that he took so many bullets for the Bloodline, that being Sami Zayn, and he says he's basically bulletproof. Oos. Everybody knows that he didn't trust them. He damn well hated the man. And but what did he do? He saw the good in him the whole time and did not give up. And that is what family do. Loyalty and love to this family. Jey says that he loves him like a brother, and everybody throws out the one. So he asks the entire crowd, if you guys all agree with me that Sami Zayn is not guilty, everybody throw up the ones in the crowd. And you had the entire crowd in Philadelphia at the Wells Fargo Arena just put out, their hand up and doing the whole one's hand gesture. That was an amazing sight to see. Absolutely amazing. And everybody just throws up their finger up on the sky. And Roman gets up and he says, as your tribal chief, he finds Sami Zayn, slow pause, not guilty. For now. And after that, Roman Reigns tells Sami he better thank Jey Uso because he bought him more time. And he asks him, make the Bloodline proud. He doesn't want to see him until the Royal Rumble. That is where he will deliver his final test. After that, he says that is where we will find out whether or not he is actually Bloodline or not. What are my thoughts on this segment? This segment was the best segment in WWE programming that I have ever seen in the last how many few years I've been watching this product. And I mean that wholeheartedly. The reason why is because of the fact that we really haven't seen storytelling like this in WWE in a long-ass time. And I mean this especially in the last few years that Vince McMahon was in charge. At this point, they didn't give a single fuck. But storytelling like this is what makes wrestling good. And this whole segment, this tribal court segment of Sami Zayn, made Sami Zayn the ultimate babyface. It basically made him the ultimate babyface. Not only that, it basically made Jey Uso so much more over. And again, the payoff when the Bloodline turn on Sami Zayn, we do not know when that's going to happen, whether that is the Royal Rumble, whether it's after the Royal Rumble, because I believe it's going to be after the Royal Rumble. The Bloodline are going to be, especially Roman Reigns, they're going to be known as the biggest heels, not only possibly in WWE, but in the entire business. And I always say, the best heel in the business is MJF, and I still think that. But holy fucking shit, this was absolutely amazing. The best segment I have ever seen on WWE programming alone in the past few years. And I mean that. That was absolutely amazing. But we also have, of course, we got the Usos defending their Raw Tag Team Championships against Dominik and Damian Priest. So, of course, the Usos are going to be defending the Raw Tag Team Championships. This was actually a very, very, very good match. I absolutely loved this match for what it was. The way everything was executed and the storytelling in this match. Again, what makes a really good wrestling match, a lot of people say the in-ring action. And that is very true. But at the end of the day, what makes an amazing wrestling match is the storytelling aspect of it. And this match was no different. The storytelling near the end of this match was pitch fucking perfect. Absolutely pitch fucking perfect. This match was amazing. So we had the Usos versus Dominik and Damian Priest for the Raw Tag Team titles. Of course, Judgment Day a couple of weeks prior won the entirety of the Tag Team Turmoil match. The Usos, of course, are defending their Raw Tag Team Championships. On the SmackDown portion, they are going to be facing whoever wins the Tag Team Contenders Tournament. And I believe we're going to be getting the semifinal matches this Friday on SmackDown. But this match was amazing. So let's go through the match. We got a spinning enziguri by Jimmy on Damian Priest. Priest is on the outside. Jimmy goes to the outside. Jimmy hits a right on Dominik, and then later Judgment Day are in control. Dominik is the legal man, but then he later on tags Priest. We get a back elbow by Priest, but then Priest is in control over Jimmy Uso. We get a shot to the back by Jimmy, but then Priest goes for a clothesline. Dominik and Jay tag in. Jay goes for the Samoan drop on Dominik Mysterio, followed by a hip attack in the corner by Jay. We get a cover and a near fall, followed by an enziguri by Jey Uso. Priest then tags in. He runs into a back elbow by Jey Uso. Then after that, both Usos come in and drop Damian Priest down to the mat. After that, we get a cover by Jimmy and a near fall. We get a rolling elbow by Damian Priest, followed by repeated elbows on both Usos in each corner. Priest manages to hit the broken arrow after that. He runs into a super kick by Jimmy, and then Priest hits a super kick. Priest then goes for a modified it was an amazing somersault, but he goes on the outside, dropping both Usos. After that, Priest drops Jimmy down to the mat. Dominik goes to the top. Jimmy is up on the shoulders of Priest, but then Judgment Day drop them down with a Doomsday device. After that, we get a cover into near fall. We get a double super kick by the Usos on Dominik, then twice on Damian Priest. We get a cover by Jay into near fall. Balor then takes Dominik back in the ring. Jay goes to the top, but then Balor interferes. Balor then gets banned by the referee, but then he is on the ring, that being Jey Uso. Then, after that, he hits the Uso splash, but Priest gets his knees up. We get a cover by Damian Priest and a near fall. Jimmy then tags in, and he's on the top. Jimmy goes for the Uso splash. We get a cover and a near fall, and Jimmy takes Priest to the outside. So this was very interesting. So what happened was, it looked like Jimmy Uso was injured, and I got scared at that point, and it got even worse when the referee came in and put out the X sign. Whenever a referee puts out the X sign, you know shit's real. The injury is real. And what happened is they completely fooled us on this whole thing. I do not think Jimmy is actually injured. So the referee throws the X sign, and Adam Pearce comes in. And he comes in and says, you guys must forfeit the match and must forfeit the Raw Tag Team Championships, which I think is such a stupid-ass rule, in my opinion. And what happens is Sami Zayn comes in and says, no, let's not make that happen. You know, let me insert myself in the match and replace Jimmy. So he replaces Jimmy, and we got Sami Zayn and Jey Uso versus Judgment Day. So after that, Sami's in the match. Now, shit gets really good after that. We get a brawl breaks loose in the ring. Judgment Day are on the outside. Sami Zayn goes for a somersault on the outside, but then Dominik gets back in the ring. We get a roll-up by Dominik with his foot on the rope. We get a near fall. Dominik is in control over Sami, and then Sami drops Dominik down onto the turnbuckle, the bottom turnbuckle. Rhea Ripley is on the apron. Priest then hits the South of Heaven on Sami Zayn. We get a cover by Dominik and a near fall. Dominik then takes Sami to the middle rope, but then Jay goes for the blind tag. Jay goes for repeated super kicks. Then Rhea enters the fray, and Jey Uso and Rhea Ripley face off after that. Dominik is behind with the dropkick. Hits the 619 on Jey Uso. Dominik goes to the top. He hits the frog splash. We get a cover, and we're like, oh shit. But then what happens? Sami Zayn interferes with the near fall. After that, Dominik dumps Sami to the outside. Jey Uso picks up Dominik, but then Jay goes for a super kick on Dominik. Sami Zayn comes back. Sami Zayn and Jey Uso hit the 1D, the one and done. We get a cover, and Sami and Jey Uso retain the Raw Tag Team Championships. What can I say about this fucking match? Pure top tier storytelling. That is exactly what this match was. It was top tier storytelling. The fact that they had us fooled, they had us afraid, they had us fooled, in which Jimmy Uso got injured, I got scared as fuck. But no, Sami just inserts himself, and even then I still got scared because I'm like, oh my god, Sami Zayn is going to mess this up. But no, he did not. This was top tier storytelling. Sami Zayn and Jey Uso, the chemistry that both of these guys have is just absolutely amazing. And it's only going to get better as we lead towards the Royal Rumble. So overall, this was absolutely insanely amazing. And keep in mind, this was the entirety of the first hour of Raw. This was the whole first hour. They utilized this whole first hour when it comes with the Bloodline. The main focus was the Bloodline, and that was absolutely amazing to see. I loved Every second of it. It was pitch perfect, this whole thing was. We get bullshit right here. JBL and Baron Corbin with the Godfather. Yes, the Godfather. They want to enter a poker game, but then the Godfather says that they're not on the list. Then, damn, Ron Simmons comes out. And Baron Corbin has cash, and they immediately let both JBL and Baron Corbin in. This will be a common occurrence throughout the entirety of the show. You have like basically the majority of mid-carders just playing poker with a lot of legends. We got an LA Knight segment. So LA Knight, of course, is going to be wrestling Bray Wyatt in the pitch black. I should not say the pitch black. The Mountain Dew pitch black match at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. And we still do not know the rules of this whole match. He says, let me talk to you. Yeah. He talks about how last Friday on SmackDown, Bray Wyatt brought back the Firefly Funhouse. And he asks, is he really supposed to be scared of that? All the legends and Bray Wyatt are laying down on past glory. And he calls out any of the legends. And when he says, I'm going to call out any one of the legends, I already knew who the hell was going to come out. And you heard that dong. You heard the boom, the dong, Undertaker's dong. And you immediately think it's going to be the dead man, the Undertaker. But nope. You hear that dong, and of course, Kid Rock's American Badass music plays, and it's the American Badass version of the Undertaker that comes out, which is, personally, the American Badass is my personal favorite version of the Undertaker. I love the dead man, but you know, I've always been a big fan of the American Badass. That's just my opinion. But the Undertaker comes out with his amazing motorcycle and a huge pop by the crowd. And LA Knight gets the microphone and says that he's heard what he said on Joe Rogan's podcast about how everybody nowadays is soft. And he says that he does not fall on that umbrella. And LA Knight sends the Undertaker, basically what happens, he basically continues to talk shit. And says that he will give the Undertaker a pass, and he's going to let him see another day, and he tells him to enjoy retirement. But what happens? The lights go out, and Bray Wyatt is immediately behind him. Then LA Knight runs back to the ring, and what happens after that is the Undertaker's like right behind him. He chokes LA Knight. It looks like he's going to hit the choke slam, but what happens after that is Bray Wyatt goes in the ring, and Taker gives LA Knight to Bray Wyatt and gives him the Sister Abigail. And we had that moment with Undertaker and Bray Wyatt in the center of the ring, just both facing off. You have the Undertaker whisper in the ear of Bray Wyatt. What did he say to Bray Wyatt? I do not know. But this was a really good segment. The reason why I say that is because, in a way, in my opinion, I genuinely believe that this was kind of a passing of the torch type of segment. You know, the Undertaker is passing the torch to Bray Wyatt. And if you really think about it, you know, Bray Wyatt right now, what they're doing with Bray Wyatt, you know, a lot of people are criticizing it, but I hope that, you know, definitely in the next couple of months as we, you know, head towards WrestleMania, we're definitely going to see what their plans are intending for. You know, we're going to see their full-blown plans with Bray Wyatt come in full intact, and it's going to be great to see. And I think, you know, hopefully this pitch black match definitely shows what Bray Wyatt is capable of. This new version, I should say, of what Bray Wyatt is capable of. And let's be honest, at the end of the day, Bray Wyatt should not lose. It'd be really stupid for Bray Wyatt to lose this match, considering the fact that it's his first match back ever since he returned at Extreme Rules this past October. But overall, this was definitely, in a sense, a passing of the torch type of segment. And I absolutely love it. I absolutely loved it. We have Becky Lynch versus Bayley in a steel cage match, a match that was originally advertised for this show, but did not happen. Dakota Kai then interferes and attacks Becky Lynch before the match even starts. Damage Control then continued to attack them and send her back in the cage, or I should say to the cage. Becky Lynch is in the ring. Dakota locks the cage, and it's basically Io Sky, Dakota Kai, and Bayley. It's a 3-on-1 assault on Becky Lynch. Io Shirai goes for the moonsault. Adam Pearce is going crazy outside. All three members of Damage Control are on top of the cage, and of course they are the top female heels on WWE television. What are my thoughts on this? Now, I was actually pretty much looking forward to the steel cage match that they were going to be having. But this is my, you know, apparently the story was the tribal court segment went too long. So they had to cut time, and basically they did not give us the steel cage match. I was pretty much disappointed on that. I don't like the fact that they would announce a match, like a match that you're eagerly anticipating. If it's a match that you don't give a fuck about, you really wouldn't care. But if it's a match that like you were definitely excited about, especially a match that's like a steel cage match, and you do not deliver, I genuinely believe that is false advertising. That's my opinion. But yeah, that's what I think of that. But apparently the tribal court segment went too long, so that is why they didn't basically have this match. They could have basically cut any other segment, but they basically cut the whole steel cage match. But yeah, that was basically that. We have a DX segment. Yes, a DX segment. And we have a non-DX member come out with DX. That being Kurt Angle. Yes, Kurt Angle came out with DX. Now, the first line that Road Dogg said was funny as fuck. Road Dogg, of course, Jesse James, or Brian James, whatever you want to call him, or BG James in TNA. He says, the more things change, the more they stay the same. He does your typical New Age Outlaws catchphrase, the Road Dogg, Jesse James, and it looks like he was about to go towards the badass Billy Gunn, but he immediately stops as he realizes, oh shit, Billy Gunn is not here. We all know where Billy Gunn is. He is with the best, the most over tag team in AEW, that being the Acclaimed. He is Daddy Ass. So sadly, that was the only mention they had of Billy Gunn, but that was pretty funny. And he doesn't really forget Billy Gunn, but he's not there. And he points at Kurt Angle, and Kurt Angle's like, I've always wanted to be in DX. So after that, Gunther comes out, and Kaiser says that, Kaiser and Gunther just basically say shame on them. They're ruining this great sport. And Triple H faces off with Gunther, and it looks like they're going to fight. And I'm like, Gunther, that's your boss. After that, Triple H, after he faces off with Gunther, this was actually pretty funny. Triple H was like, nah, I'm retired. And then he turns over to Shawn Michaels, and Shawn Michaels is like, nah, I'm too old. X-Pac says he has a bad case of shin splints, which is funny as hell. And Road Dogg also refuses. And DX circle around and try to have a game plan. After that, they point to Kurt Angle, and Kurt says, I'm not going to fight him. After that, Kurt says no. Seth Rollins comes out. And after that, what happens is DX is still like, oh, but it's only 3-on-1, so what's going to happen? And what happens is the Street Profits come out after that. And then still DX looks at Triple H about what the hell is going to be happening. And this was a really, really funny line that Triple H stated. After DX looked at Triple H is like, hey, this booking stuff ain't easy, And the crowd laughed. That was pretty funny. Then Teddy Long fucking comes out. Teddy Long comes out, and he makes it a 6-man tag team match. We all know Teddy Long loves his tag team matches, playa. And after that, it's announced that Kurt Angle is the special guest referee. So we now get Seth Rollins and the Street Profits versus Imperium. Overall, this was a pretty good match overall. I enjoyed it for what it was. I completely forgot who won because I believe it was the babyfaces that won the match. Correct me if I'm wrong. I completely messed up my notes right here, but a couple of notes on the match. I'm not really going to go through this whole match because it was basically just a normal match, kind of to commemorate Raw 30, basically, because of the fact that they had DX there and shit. We got a German by Gunther. Rollins lands on his feet. We got an enziguri. We got a thrust kick by Rollins. We got an angle slam by Rollins on Gunther. Ford and Vinci tag in. We got a clothesline by Giovanni Vinci. Imperium go for the Imperial bomb attempt, but Rollins interferes. Rollins goes for a superplex, and then Ford and Dawkins drop them down as well. Rollins goes for the pedigree on Gunther. We got a spine buster by Dawkins. Ford is on the top. Rollins tags in. Ford hits the frog splash, and then Rollins goes for the Kermit stomp. So it looks like Rollins and Ford won the match. That's what happened. They won the match, but Gunther did not get pinned. Great stuff overall. It was a pretty good match. We get a backstage interview with Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin wins poker, so he gets all the money in the world. And what happens? IRS comes in and says that don't forget to pay your taxes, and he takes all the money and only gives Baron Corbin $100. Funny shit. We get a backstage interview with Bobby Lashley. Says that he wouldn't have been U.S. champion if it wasn't for Brock Lesnar. So you're basically getting the seeds planted for Brock Lesnar because he eventually made his return later on in the show. He wants to win his U.S. title back. MVP comes in and says, Lashley, he says that he doesn't need MVP's help and says that he will handle his business on his own. So it looks like they're still seeding, planting the seeds for a Hurt Business revival, I should say. And you know what? Sign me up. I believe the Hurt Business could have been something, but Vince McMahon's regime just didn't really look highly on the Hurt Business, honestly. I wish they could have, but they didn't. Hopefully, once they reunite the Hurt Business, they're definitely going to have good shit planned in the future. We got Ric Flair coming out. Talks about how we're celebrating 30 years of Monday Night Raw. The WWE has given him so much, and they made him so successful. And the greatest gift that they gave him is having to watch his daughter exceed all of his own goals. And he's proud to see her succeed. Calls her the greatest women's champion in the history of the WWE. Charlotte then comes out, and Charlotte cuts a promo and says that they began to revolutionize women's wrestling on Raw, and she went from being a diva into the 14-time women's champion, facing names like Ronda Rousey and Nikki Brie Bella, Asuka, and Rhea Ripley. She did not even mention Sasha Banks. I wonder why. Wink, wink. She, because of them, she calls herself the most decorated of all time. She knows she stands as the SmackDown Women's Champion, but Monday Night Raw will always be her home. I mean, to be quite honest with you, whenever I think Charlotte Flair, I do not think Monday Night Raw. And that's the biggest problem with the brand split. And that goes to a lot of wrestlers. Bianca Belair comes out, talks about how she respects everything she's done for this business, but not just here, because she goes here now, and this is her show. She does her best to make Raw the greatest show on television. And to be quite honest with you, every week Raw is not the greatest show on television. Sonya Deville comes out and asks, was it necessary to fly Daddy to give her a grand introduction for a show she wasn't wanted on? She asks Bianca if the people tune in to watch her. She used to run this show, and she was the Raw general manager for a year. Where is her recognition? To be quite honest with you, look, let's be honest right here. When Sonya Deville was the general manager along with Adam Pearce, even though Adam Pearce is still, in charge kayfabe-wise, Raw was considered the worst show on TV, period. That's all I'm going to say about that. And that's not Sonya Deville's fault. It's Vince McMahon and his old regime. Charlotte Flair then tells Bianca to handle Sonya Deville, and Bianca accepts. So we get Bianca Belair versus Sonya Deville. Relatively short match. We get a dropkick by Bianca. She works on Sonya in the corner. Bianca then tries to slam Sonya Deville, but then Sonya takes her down. We get a kick and body shots, repeated body shots, I should say, by Sonya Deville. We get a roll up by Bianca into near fall. Later, Sonya Deville is in control. Once we're back from commercial break, Bianca hits a delayed vertical suplex, followed by a moonsault. After that, Sonya gets the knees up, and then Sonya goes for the kick. We get a cover and a near fall. Bianca hits the KOD. So it's funny. So we came back to commercial break, and then immediately, Bianca was in control, and she hits the KOD and wins the match. So, again, this match wasn't really that long to begin with. Bianca Belair then cuts a promo on Alexa Bliss because she's going to be wrestling her at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. Alexa is on the Titantron and says she's Bianca's only obstacle. She doesn't need Uncle Howdy or Bray to tear her face with her bare hands. But do not worry, she will spare her eyes so she can walk out as the Raw Women's Champion. Do I think that Alexa Bliss will win the Raw Women's title? I do not think so. I mean, there could very well be a chance that she will, but at the end of the day, I just do not see that happening, in my opinion. Is it going to be a good match? Pretty much. I mean, I'm not, I'm going to be quite honest with you. Alexa Bliss versus Bianca Belair is not really the match that I'm excited about. The two matches I'm excited about is, of course, Roman Reigns versus KO and, of course, the Royal Rumble match itself. But this match I'm not really that excited about. But I think Bianca's going to retain. But more on that on my Royal Rumble predictions this coming Friday on episode 5 of the WrestleHavoc Podcast. We get a video package on Cody Rhodes, and then after that segment, we immediately go to The Miz. He talks about, he's basically pissed that we don't have Miz TV or any championship match or celebration of all of his moments. He's the first ever Grand Slam champion, and he deserves his Raw 30 moment. But what happens is Kevin Owens immediately comes out, I believe, like through the crowd or maybe like from the stage. I have no idea. And he stunners The Miz, and he cuts a promo and says Roman says that he might have said Sami ain't guilty, but he's guilty for holding that Universal title hostage for all these years. On Saturday at the Rumble, he gives his word, and he will give them a champion that they can all be proud of, and he will guarantee him that he will just keep fighting until he has nothing left, and he will take that title on Saturday, or he will die trying. And then Miz gets up, Kevin Owens then stunners him again. And, yeah, man, of course, Kevin Owens, he's going to be wrestling Roman Reigns. The match that he's going to have with Roman Reigns is going to be very, very awesome because we can all agree that Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns are not capable of having a bad match. They are always capable of having a good match, especially with top-tier storytelling involving. And the fact that it's involving Sami Zayn just makes it that much better. So it's going to be very, very awesome to see what the hell is going to be happening. And Sami Zayn's involvement is going to be very interesting as well. Now, again, keep a note, Roman Reigns did not sign his portion of the contract. So we're going to have to find out what the hell is going to be going on Friday on SmackDown. But again, I'm very, very excited to see what the hell they're going to be doing. In our final, I don't want to say segment, but in the final match of the show, and the last thing on the show, really, is Austin Theory versus Bobby Lashley in a no disqualification match for the U.S. title. Pretty fun, pretty good match overall, but realistically, the whole match is not going to be talked about. Everybody's going to be talking about what happened after the match. But let's go through the match real quick. Of course, Bobby Lashley, I completely forgot what he won. What was it, a fatal four-way, fatal five? I completely forgot. This was a couple of weeks ago. Both lock up. Lashley goes after Theory. We get a side headlock by Theory. Then Lashley drops him down to the mat. And then he dumps Theory to the outside. Lashley then goes to the outside and sends Theory to the barricade. He picks up Theory and sends Theory to the ring post. Once we're back from break, Lashley picks up Theory. Theory escapes. Then we got a rolling shotgun dropkick by Theory. Then he picks up Lashley. He hits a neck breaker after that. We get a cover and a near fall after that. We get repeated rights by Theory. Theory goes to the outside and grabs a chair. He hits Lashley with the chair after that, but then Lashley takes Theory to the apron. Theory then gets taken to the outside, and then he drags Lashley outside. Theory then takes out a table, but then Lashley applies the hurt lock. We got a roll up by Lashley and a near fall. Lashley then drops Theory face first down to the mat, and he sends Theory through the chair into the corner. Lashley then goes to the outside, but then Theory extinguishes the fire extinguisher and sends Lashley to the steel steps. Once we're back from break, Lashley superplexes Theory off the top. Both fight it out, but then Lashley drives Theory to the mat. He sets up the spear attempt, but then Lashley applies the hurt lock. Theory then goes for the low blow, but what happens is Lashley drives Theory through the table. What happens after that? Brock Lesnar's music hits. Brock Lesnar runs to the ring. He picks up Lashley and hits an F5. And then, since this is an ODQ match, it doesn't matter whether the referee sees it or not. And then what happens after that? He picks up Theory and hits the F5 on Theory on top of Bobby Lashley. And Austin Theory retains the U.S. title. And we immediately cut to, Barmageddon as the show ends. So, overall, it's great seeing Brock Lesnar back. I haven't really been critical of Brock Lesnar with his whole Cowboy Brock gimmick. I absolutely love his Cowboy Brock gimmick. It's been really entertaining seeing him like that. But what are we going to see? Is this setting up for a match at the Royal Rumble? There's one answer to that, and that is no. Number one, because of the fact that the Royal Rumble is this fucking Saturday, so why would they announce a match a couple of days before the Royal Rumble? My best bet is that they're going to be having a match at WrestleMania. I do not know if that will happen or not. I believe the rumored match was supposed to be Brock Lesnar versus Gunther, but we're going to have to wait and see. But it looks like Bobby Lashley's going to be feuding with Brock Lesnar for these next couple of months. And let's be honest, the last match that they had was pretty disappointing. I think they're going to try to fix the wrongs that they had in their previous match and try to make everything right with this next match that they're possibly going to be having in the future. But, yeah, man, it's great seeing Brock Lesnar back, and we're going to see what the hell is going to be going on in the future. But, yeah, that was the Raw Is 30 special. Overall thoughts on this show. This was a fantastic show. That first hour, again, was absolutely amazing. But overall, this was probably the best Raw in months. Definitely, I'll be honest. Probably the best Raw that I have seen in months. And I have been very critical of Raw, considering the fact that the show is just 3 hours and there's a lot of stuff on the show that I genuinely just do not care about. But overall, Raw is 30 was an absolutely fantastic show. And of course, we are on the road to the Royal Rumble, which begins the road to WrestleMania. But yeah, that was my Raw review from January 23rd, 2023. Please like, subscribe, comment down below, push that bell for notifications, and be on the lookout for more videos right here on the WrestleHavoc Podcast on YouTube, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content. And as the freaking referee would say, ring that damn bell for more notifications. Also, the WrestleHavoc Podcast is also available on audio platforms. It is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, and Google Podcasts. So if you guys want to listen to the WrestleHavoc Podcast in audio format, it is available on all of those platforms. Quick reminder, once again, episode 5 of the podcast will not be uploaded on Sunday. It's going to be uploaded early on Friday, because on Saturday we have the SmackDown review, plus we got the Royal Rumble review that will be in replacement of episode 5 this coming weekend. So be on the lookout for those videos. The episode 5, the SmackDown, and the Royal Rumble reviews will all be up this weekend. So be on the lookout for those videos. And as always, it is Flamin' Ricky DeRays from the WrestleHavoc Podcast, signing out.